This module is on Voice over Internet Protocol, or as you probably have heard it, Voice over IP or VoIP. So Voice over Internet Protocol or VoIP or Voice over IP is basically enables companies or end users like regular customers to use internet networks to make phone calls. IP network will not only carry traditional internet traffic like visiting a web page or anything, but it'll also divide up your conversation into millions of little packets and allow you to have an end-to-end conversation. I know at Nash Community College, our work office telephones are technically voice over IP phones that use the internet. Now, in very early days, when you would do a VoIP call, like maybe a Skype or video call or anything like that, and obviously video adds a little different dynamic because, again, it's even more data that has to be transmitted in real time. But think about our last module on network speeds. VoIP really needs fast network speeds because it's a conversation that's happening in real time. People were already used to the clear, plain old telephone system because it did one thing really good, and that's making end-to-end calls in real time. You would sometimes have crosstalk and things like that, but the infrastructure got pretty good to handle regular telephone calls. Now with VoIP, you're actually using the internet to divide up your conversation into millions of little packets and deliver it from end to end without any lag or anything like that. So it does kind of put an extra burden on the network. So them becoming faster helps technologies like VoIP go off without a hitch. Now, the traditional phone system, again, was a circuit switch network, a plain old telephone system, POTS, or PSTN, public switch telephone network. That was what the infrastructure was for. It was never for anything other than that. The newer networks that we use, the data networks, are not circuit switched. They're packet switched, meaning they are divided up into millions of little packets. VoIP takes advantage of packet switch networks offered by IP networks, converts your phone conversation into a bunch of packets. As I said, that information then travels on a route over several routers and switches to its final destination, just as conventional internet traffic does. The problem is, again, think about when you download a web page. It might take a couple seconds. You don't want that to happen when you're having a real-time phone conversation. So the networks have to be very fast. Now, why use VoIP? Decrease cost. Don't have to maintain two networks, one for telephone, one for internet. End users are also offered programs to use from a computer that can make international VoIP calls for free or reduce cost. Skype is a good example of one of those. Greater choices of providers. So there's a lot of different providers on the market where, remember, like with your cable companies, telecommunication companies are kind of the same. You don't have many choices. Okay, and then the increase in competition, which sparks greater innovation. The ability to port phone numbers, you can actually keep your current phone number no matter where you move, unless you reset it manually, because again, it's not directly related to your geographic location like a regular phone is. And increased mobility. It allows you to have many features, voicemail through a web browser, all types of stuff. Multimedia features, more customizable, online and local, incorporate other local technologies. You can even integrate your email, where if you get a voicemail, it'll email it to you as a .wav file, and you can listen to it through an email, or you can even fax to your email, like sending a PDF file or something like that. Latency. The voice requires a high bandwidth connection and puts a strain on some networks. So it may experience some line jitter, drop packets. So you might experience like a drop in the real-time communication, and then it'll just pick up somewhere else. It won't go find all those packets in between because it doesn't have time to. In emergency 911 calls, also not all VoIP networks connect directly to emergency services. They have increased that because that was a downside in the early adoption days. Oops. And it's harder to pinpoint your exact location because of that. Internet connection issues. Because voice and data is traveling over the same IP network, if the internet goes down, so does your ability to make calls. So you got to think about that. Also, VoIP security. You got to make sure your network is secure. Since VoIP uses the same IP network, it's also susceptible to some worms, viruses, packet sniffing. So just like the regular internet traffic, you got to make sure it's secured. Now, What equipment do you need at home? PC with multimedia hardware, some type of VoIP software, an internet connection to an ISP or internet service provider, and some type of headphone or microphone and speakers usually works best. This is kind of a picture of what it might look like if you had it on both ends. You could have a phone adapter or just a regular cable modem, just kind of depends on what your needs are. If you need a telephone or a fax line, you can hook it up straight to that using a phone adapter, or you can just use your regular cable modem. And then, of course, as you see at the bottom there, those are connected through it, just connected straight to the internet as well, using some type of similar device. So even if the other end is not VoIP, you can still do it. Now, VoIP software like Skype, there are premium versions, Google Voice, Jive, Empathy, and many other instant messaging clients are out there. Modem, they have built-in ATA or analog telephone adapters, standard PSTN telephone if you do need that, and then internet connection as well. This is kind of the more one based on if you've got the old school telephones, you needed to still use VoIP. So there are converter boxes available out there. Now, corporately, like we have at Nash CC, that's kind of an example of a phone you might have. It usually has some type of media gateway as well as the internet connection. And this actually has a port on the back so you can share the internet connection with your computer. The future of VoIP, companies will have to begin offering innovative features to kind of separate themselves amongst the competition because there's so many out there. And then, of course, further convergence with your regular mobile device, 3G, 4G, and 5G mobile networks make it possible to kind of cut the cord there as well. But of course, you still have those mobile providers that will still be used. And then these are just some examples of future of VoIP where you have all these different standalone devices that do video conferencing using voice over IP, like the Facebook portal, the Google Nest, and this is in the picture an Amazon Show. So those all use voice over IP as well. So voice over IP is an ever-growing technology that has been implemented already and will continue to be implemented and take over the plain old telephone system networks as we know it.